This is the 2022 Mercedes GLB 250 4MATIC. Let's take a look at this car, shall we? All right, so look at the front of the car. We have this big Mercedes logo. Now, unfortunately, this one does not light up like the other higher end models. We got a license plate for the village in India. And up here we have our grille. The top part is blocked off. There's no air going here, but there is here, which is interesting. You have like these little scoops here to send air into the front. And then we have our fog lights here. The fog light, again, the plastic here, it's closed off, so it doesn't really give air to the brakes. It's just kind of there just for show. All right, so look at the side of the car. We have all these windows here. These don't open, only these two open. We have the little rail up here, so you can put stuff on top of the roof to haul out if you want. And then, of course, you have your two doors. Now, interestingly, the gas tank is actually on the left side of the car. Most German cars that I've driven are all on the right side. So I was actually kind of surprised to see this on the left side. I don't know if that's a US thing or even in Europe they're now on the left side on this model. Let me know in the comments if you know about that, because I was kind of surprised about that. Then right here we have a plastic trim piece. I'm not a fan of plastic trim pieces. They get pretty faded after a while. But yeah, it has one that goes around the whole car like this. Look at the wheels. These are the standard wheels that come with the car. They are the 18-inch wheels. Look at the back of the car. We have our Mercedes logo here with the 4MATIC, mentioning that it's basically four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Then up here we have our brake lights. We have our tail lights. And there's this little metal trim piece right here, which is kind of interesting. And then, of course, down here we have the typical plastic that's on the sides as well. And then you have a chrome finish down here. There are exhausts on both sides of the car, so it has a nice balanced look to it. All right, next, let's take a look at the trunk. So you just do this. On the cars, you can use the foot sensor. This one does not have that, but obvious reasons you'd get hit in the face. So up here we have two buttons. We have a lock button. If you press this button, it locks the car and closes the trunk. And then here we have a button to close the trunk, but as you can see, it says stop. So basically you can just do stop, and then you can stop it anywhere before it closes all the way. That's kind of cool. And then here, these two handles here. So when the trunk is closed, there's a little area right here where basically you can tie things down. So if you need to tie something down, you can just put a string through here, and then that's what this area is for. All right, so looking at the trunk itself, it's a pretty decent size. It's not too bad. It's pretty wide here, or pretty tall, and then it's decently wide. Now here we have our little privacy thing here. And as you can see with this and the trunk closed, you can't see what's in the trunk. I highly recommend using this because this car actually already got broken into. Maybe if this was opened at the time, that wouldn't have been a problem. Who knows? All right, so next we have this little area right here that you push down and you pull up. And as you can see, you have some more space here. Now this is mainly for accessories, so there's not really any accessories in this one. We do have a little tow hitch right here, but besides that, there really isn't much down here. On the sides, we have these little pockets here to prevent stuff from going around like that. And then here, we have straps, so you can put stuff in here, and then this basically just straps it down. All right, so next we have the folding seats. Now, the way these fold, actually, you can't fold them from the trunk. So let me show you how to fold the seats down. All right, so to put the seats down, you actually pull this little lever right here, and they come down like that. So basically, all the seats go down. All right, so as you can see with the seats down, they go all the way down, but I didn't want to move the seat forward. So they go all the way down, and then this also comes out. You just hold this down and push them in, and then the thing comes out. So basically, you have all this area as trunk space, so you can put larger items as well, which is nice. All right, now let's go into the back of the car. So just like the front, it does have the option, so you can just put your hand here to unlock, and then press this button to unlock it. Now, one thing is the door goes about this much. I have owned mostly coupes in my life, so my doors are open a bit more. All right, so here we have our door. As you can see, we have this nice color here. So we have the lock and unlock buttons here, handle, and put your hand there, and then this is for the window. We do have some space down here. You could put like a water bottle, nothing too big on it, obviously, like it's not too big. So there's that, and these are tinted from the factory, which is nice. All right, so sitting in the back seat. Now, one thing that's nice about this is there's a lever down here, so I can actually move the seats forward and back. So that's nice. Let's just say that these seats are as far back as you're gonna go, right? So the amount of room that you have in the back seat, I wouldn't say it's a lot of room, but it's definitely more than probably any sedan you're gonna sit in. So that's kind of nice. And then obviously being able to move it forward and back is pretty useful as well, especially for putting stuff in the trunk. Now for the middle seats, I say this basically for every single car because the middle seat is never as comfortable as the left and right seats. The other thing is, because this is a gas engine, there's a little hump in the middle, so it's not a flat at the bottom here, so your feet are basically either like this or they're like this, coming into the way of the other two passengers. So there's that. All right, so we have two vents here that you can just move left, right, up, down, basically a whole 360 for each side of the passengers. Then right here we have a little cupboard area. It's not really, I mean, you can't really do much there. And then here, when you open this, you have two USB Type-Cs. Thank goodness they're Type-Cs. And then here we have an AC 115 volt port. It doesn't say right here exactly how many amps it can support, but definitely can't be hooking up my gaming laptop to that. It doesn't have a ground either. And then this is the hump I was talking about earlier, as you can see. It's basically the way right there. And up here we have our handles and we have our reading light. Here, pull this down like this, and there are cup holders here. So basically your drinks would go like that. I'm not a fan of these cup holders, to be honest. They're kind of flimsy, but better than having no cup holders at all, I guess. And then of course, as I mentioned earlier, you could put the middle seat down. So if you have fishing rods, skis or something, you can put them into the middle and then still seat 4 people at least, so that's nice. All right, next let's go inside the car. Now before we do, let me show y'all that you can actually press this button to lock the car, as long as you have the keys nearby, of course. And then of course, when you come up to it, it unlocks the car. All right, so looking at the door, we have our little wood trim here. This is not standard. We have our heated seats. If we had cooled seats, which is an option, they would be here. Then you have your lock and unlock here, your handle to open the door, and then your handle to put your hand here. Down here, we have the button to open the trunk. We have some space here for drinks, so fit a water bottle here like that. So we have some buttons right here. These are for the mirrors to adjust them. Then you can fold and unfold them as well. These are for the windows, front and back. And then this right here obviously locks the windows so no one else can move them besides you. All right, so over here we have our parking brake. So you just do this to undo and do it. We have our lights here. Just leave them on auto, you don't have to worry about them. You have fog lights. And this right here changes the brightness of the interior. All right, so this is the steering wheel. It's a leather steering wheel. So we have our horn in the middle like most cars. We have some buttons here for volume, your phone. This is the home button. And then we have this button here. And over here we have some more buttons. This is for the cruise control. Now there are paddle shifters on each side here as well. So you can shift with that. And then over here we have our wipers. Now down here, there's a lever. So you push this down and now you can manually pull the steering wheel forward, back, up or down. All right, so over here we have our lever. Now this is actually the gearbox. So you go to reverse, drive, and then you push the button at the end for park. So it's kind of funny that it's up here. All right, so here we have our screen. This is our instrument cluster. So if I press the on button here, you have that little animation. And there you go. So you can see your speed, your RPM, your fuel level, temperature, and then you can use this button right here to actually control. So it's like a touch screen. Just flip it like this so you can see that. Then there's a home and the back button here. So it's a bunch of different options, as you can see. Over here we have our engine on off button. We have the auto off here. I normally leave this always to never let the engine turn off. And over here we have our infotainment screen. This is how the main screen looks like. It does have CarPlay, so if you click this, you can look at CarPlay. It's a touch screen as well, so you can look at that. And you can press home here. So one thing I don't like about CarPlay is you can't make it full screen from what I've tried. Like this is how it is. So this is how it stays. You have these buttons on the side here to do other things. But CarPlay never goes full screen, just so you know. Over here we have our vents. So there's 3 vents and they can basically be moved in a 360, which is pretty nice actually. It's better than most cars where you can only move it a few ways. And down here we have all the AC controls. We also have our hazard lights right here. So you just push down like that. And then we have a bunch of other options here. So if you click this, as you can see, it wants me to switch the ignition on. So we have our AC controls. So you can either use the buttons down here or you can use the touchscreen buttons here, which is pretty cool. Looking over here, we have a little area right here to put our phones. So you can put your phone there. You have a Type-C charger right here. You have 2 cup holders, so you can fit a water bottle like that, or you can also put a bigger bottle like this. These actually came with the car, which is pretty cool. Down here we have some more controls. So we have, these are basically the driving modes. So as you can see, there's sport, individual, comfort, and eco. And actually, I think there's off-road as well. So if you want to do off-road, there's an option here for that as well. On this side, we have our volume rocker. So you can put the volume up and down from here. You can also push it in and out to turn the radio on and off. Then here we have some buttons: radio, map, telephone, favorites. And then this one is for the car, as you can see here. This is the ESP and DSR functions here. There's other options as well. So one of the cool things is, as you can see, I'm now navigating right now at the top here. This is actually like a kind of like a touch system here, so you can scroll left and right, up and down. So that's pretty cool. So if I click system here, I can just go through the whole thing here like this. Over here we have our armrest. So if you push this button, that's how it looks. It's pretty deep actually. There is a USB Type-C right here, but besides that, there's nothing else here. There's no 12-volt adapter or anything. All right, so up here we have a few more things. So we have our reading lights right here. We have the lights in the back. This increases and decreases the brightness of lights in the back. And then this is for these lights here. As you can see, you can change the different brightness. And then we have SOS and then the Phone Me for Mercedes. This is the rear view mirror, and down here there are buttons as well. This is for the garage door opener, so you can program your garage door here using these. This is the visor, so standard visor. You have your lights, and of course you just, wow, that is strong. There you go. So you do that, and this must be like a German car thing, because my BMWs are all like this. You can't extend this. It stays right here. You can't extend it this way. I don't know why they do that, but yeah. Then this is the dash here. As you can see, we have a wood trim piece on here. This is an option. And then we have LED lighting here. You can customize the lights, 64 different colors. We have our speaker up here. All right, so as you can see, these are the lights at night. So even the vents light up. You got lights here in the middle as well. And you can change them using this option right here. So there's a bunch of different colors. Don't know if you're gonna be able to see them very well, as you can see here. All right, so just a quick look at the infotainment system. We have our phone, radio, media. This is the ambient lighting. This is info. So a bunch of options here. You can actually click this, so you have your engine performance, your consumption. There's an operator's manual here. And then this is the Mercedes Me app. So settings is what people like to see, right? So controls. So there's handwriting, there's touchpad sensitivity, haptic feedback, and whatnot. Voice assistant, so you can use the Hey Mercedes voice assistant. I don't normally use it. Audio, you have a bunch of audio options here. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So there's Bluetooth, and then there's also Wi-Fi. So it's pretty funny here. So you can turn Wi-Fi on and off, and then you can make a hotspot for devices. You have to pay for that, it's not free. Time and date, language, units. This is your license and software update, system backup, pin protection. All right, so these are the seats. As you can see, it's a really nice color, and they're very soft. They are heated. But yeah, both seats are the same in the front. You can move the headrest up and down as well. All right, so this car is $45,000. And let me show y'all something funny with the seats. There's no power seats. There's no power seats. None of it is powered. All these are manual controls for the seat. Now there's a reason for this. When this car was bought, there was a parts shortage for the power seats. So literally on the window sticker, I'll show you in a second, they deducted some money for it not having power seats. But it's still hilarious that this car does not have power seats. Looking at the engine bay, this is a 2-liter inline-4 turbo engine. It has 221 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission. As you can see, there isn't really too much room for maintenance for yourself, so it's pretty crammed in here. It's not really friendly. You could just put in your own oil and wash your fluid and stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty crammed engine bay. All right, next let's go ahead and go for a drive. So like I mentioned earlier, this lever is how you put it to drive. All right, so I mentioned 221 horsepower. It's not bad acceleration. It's 221 horsepower. It's a big car, so that was actually not bad. In terms of overall ride quality, it's actually quite smooth. This is, of course, a new car, so this car has around 10,500 miles already, so the suspension's pretty much been broken in already, so it's as smooth as it's gonna get. Overall ride is pretty quiet. The cabin isn't very noisy, so that's a nice plus. But overall, it's a pretty smooth driving experience for, you know, $45K. One of the nice things about it is because it's a bigger car, like it's higher off the ground and everything, going over bumps and stuff is a lot more smoother than it would be in a car, so that's nice. So one of the safety features that the car has is blind spot detection. So there's a little triangle on the mirror that you'll be able to see soon here that basically lights up when there's a car next to you. There are other features for the car that you can get. Like I was mentioning earlier, this is basically a standard model. It doesn't have all the extra features, but you can spec it out a lot more. Next, I'll show you guys a reverse camera. So as you can see here, when I put the car in reverse, this is the reverse camera. So it has guidelines, so when you move the steering wheel, you can see the guidelines. And then there's two views. So this is another view right here. Basically, it shows you the sides, which is kind of nice. But basically, if you follow the guideline, you can normally park it pretty smoothly. As you can see, this is basically the car is. You can see our Tesla right there in the background. And stop right there. So the red line is where you basically want to stop. So yeah, that's how the camera looks. Alright, so this is the key that comes with the car. As you can see, there's a lock, unlock. You can open the trunk, panic, and then it has the Mercedes logo there. You could push this to reveal the key if you ever need to open the key without the electronic. Alright, so this is the window sticker right here. And as you can see, it gets 25 miles per gallon combined. It gets 22 city and 30 on the highway. So it's decent mileage. Now, the base price is $40,600. This is a 2022 model. The 2023 model's pricing is very similar. Now, the optional packages, we have a natural wood grain trim for $325. We get $700 credit for missing the standard electric front seats. So the electric front seats are standard, but because of the chip shortage for when we got this car, they refunded the $700. I can guarantee you $700 is not going to get you those seats back. So it's a little disappointing that they only credit you $700 for that. Of course, the 2023 model should have them now. We have the wheel locking bolts for $150. The garage door opener was $280. The front heated seats are $500, and the ambient lighting is $310. Now, this does have the premium light package, which is the 1025-inch digital cluster with the media display, the keyless go, which is the basically be able to drive without the key, the mirror package, and the 115-volt outlet. So total price for this car was $44,290. Now, for that price, let's just say, let's round up to like 45, right? For that price, you're still missing a lot of features. This car can actually be loaded up with a lot more features still that it's missing. So if you're looking for a spec'd out model, it's gonna cost a decent amount more money. So whenever you see people saying, oh, this GLB 250 for $40K or less, you're getting the base model for $40K. You're not getting the actual car. Like, you have to at least get some of the features, right? So I would say this is more of a $50K car with some features. And you look at other cars out there at the price range, things get a lot more competitive. So definitely take a look at other cars around that price range. Don't just say, hey, I'm gonna get a base model for $40K. It doesn't work that easily. It's missing a lot of features at $40K, so keep that in mind. Now, one interesting thing about this car is there is an option for 7 seats. I don't know if you want the 7 seats as an option because the seats, the 2 extra seats technically go where the trunk is. So you basically lose most of your trunk. But I did want to mention that because at this price range, being able to hold 7 people is a really good thing. Most cars at this price range cannot hold 7 people. So, at least not a Mercedes or like a more higher end brand, right? If you're looking at Toyota, probably. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to mention that because 7 seats is a pretty cool feature. Tesla used to do that in one of their cars. I forgot if it was the Model Y or X, but they don't. I think they brought it back actually recently. But overall, for $45K, it's a nice car. Now, one thing I always say to people, especially like if you get a BMW, Mercedes, Audi, like those cars, unless you're a black on black person, like you just have to have a black interior, I really like the way the other colors look. Like the beige interior on this car looks really nice. Way better than the black interior would, in my opinion, of course. Everyone has different preferences. There are plenty of different colors. There's several colors you can choose for the interior and for the exterior. Personally, I'm not a fan of the white color exterior. I normally like having the more specialized colors. You know those colors. You see like a Mercedes or BMW with like some interesting looking color. You're like, that looks really interesting. Like, I like those type of colors. But overall, the paint quality is not bad actually. So this one was $45K. You can configure them for more or less depending on what you want. But overall, it's a nice compact car. It's actually not as big as I thought it was going to be. Like, that's our Tesla Model S right next to it. I mean, obviously when you look next to a Tesla, it looks decently bigger, but trust me, it's a pretty compact car. With that said, if there's any other cars you want me to review, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have one of these cars, and let me know if you have any questions. As always, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.